In June and July of 2024, the same two pairs of bluebirds laid second nests of 4 eggs each. The first clutch of eggs were laid between May 29th and June 1st. The chicks all hatched on June 15th, and I monitored them every few days to check on their progress. Surprisingly, I think the parents were feeding them mulberries because of the purple stains inside the box. Out of the 4 chicks, at least one of them was a male. I stopped checking on them after the 27th because that was 12 days from hatching, and I didn't want them to leave the nest box prematurely. When I noticed the chicks sticking their heads out of the box, I set up my camera to hopefully video them fledging. But I missed it. They fledged sometime before 7 o'clock a.m. July 3rd, the 18th day. I took a picture of their nest with its perfectly shaped little indentation. Hopefully, I would be able to see the other clutch hatch because they were about a week behind. The second nest had 4 eggs on June 7th, and 3 chicks hatched on June 20th. I noticed one of the eggs had not hatched, and when I looked at my videos and pictures, I noticed that that egg had a rather large hole in the side. I don't know when that occurred, but the egg subsequently disappeared, so the parents must have gotten rid of it. Again, I monitored the nest until July 3rd, which was 13 days after hatching. Supposedly, you should not open bluebird nest boxes after day 12 or 13 because there is a risk that the chicks may fly or fall out of the box prematurely. Bluebirds fledge between the 15th and 21st day after hatching. On Saturday, July 6th, the chicks began to poke their heads out of the box. It was a very hot day, and they held their beaks open to cool off, the bird equivalent of panting. The daytime temperature was in the low to mid-90s, so I'm sure the nest box was even hotter. The parents continued feeding the chicks caterpillars, bugs, and, as I had suspected, mulberries. They also continued to clean the box of the chicks' poop sacks. I got up at 5:30 a.m. on July 7th to increase my chances of seeing these chicks fledge. The morning was quiet, with little activity besides the parents regularly bringing food, but the chicks were not visible. However, about 8:15, one of the chicks began poking his head out of the box, and he and the male began calling back and forth to each other. I knew this was it. They would fledge soon. The male flew around the box with a bug in his mouth while softly calling to entice the chick from the box. Surprisingly, the chick did not open its beak to accept the food, which I thought was interesting. The female also tried to entice this first chick from the box with food, and after a few minutes, they were successful. Then chick number 2 appeared, and the calling back and forth continued. It took this chick about 10 minutes to gather enough courage to leave the box, and I'm sure it was also hungry. More enticement by the female, and finally he fledged. Then chick number 3 appeared, but he wasn't going anywhere soon. It took this chick an hour and a half to finally leave the nest. The parents stopped feeding, and the male would visit the box every 10 minutes or so to see if the chick was ready yet. The male would call repeatedly, but to no avail. This nest produced 1 male and 2 females. Around 10 a.m., this third chick finally fledged. All 3 chicks fledged after 17 days in the nest. I'm so glad that I was able to witness it. They all flew into low tree branches in our yard. The parents will continue to feed them for about 3 weeks until they become independent. On a technical note, because some of the videos were zoomed up quite a bit using my 35mm camera, the iMovie software did not completely transfer the images to the movie for some reason. That's why some of the videos unfortunately look chopped off or not centered.